take them all out for the big bounce off the bottom. That's a big shakeout. This is what happens to the bulls when they got that exuberance.
I can't even keep up with the tick-tock.
All right, we're in bear market. We told you people not to get involved in that. Whoa, look at that.
Let's get ready to rumble! Good evening, stock traders, and welcome to Stock Traders Talk Radio, here on a beautiful Tuesday night, April 17th, 2012. I'm your host, STT. Joining me on tonight's program, I have, from his mobile phone, Stock Sumo.
Hey, good evening, STT. Awesome intro, man. Way to fire it up.
Thank you, sir. I do my best always. I try, even when I'm short-handed. Also joining us on the program tonight is Mr. Cop.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
I'm fantastic, sir. How about yourself?
Excellent.
That's good
great.
to hear. It's good to hear. Last night's Stock Spotlight played out very well today.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. People chatting about it. It's always good to see people getting on what we're playing. It's always good. Good stuff. Tonight, we have another Stock Spotlight lined up for our listeners. I am waiting for the arrival of Sidikia. I have no notice that he's not going to be here tonight. And if you don't give me notice, not only do you not get paid for the night, but I take away your whole week's salary. You do know that, right? You aware of that, Mr. Cop?
I am.
Mr. Sumo, you're aware of that, obviously, because you called in.
Yep.
You were desperate. You're like, uh-oh, got to get my phone call in at least. All right. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Stock Spotlight with Mr. Cop. Mr. Cop, take it away, sir.
Thanks, STT. Tonight we're going to go out of the box a little bit on one. Okay, I'm going to give you a stock that I've actually been watching for a while, and the indications have just came in for what I'm actually looking for, and that is Sierra Resource Group Inc. Okay, and that's SIRG. Long story with the stock. It's been around for a while. Used to be an oil and energy company, and now it's mainly focused on copper. Now, here's the hitch. Right now, they're not producing any revenues, and they're trading at 0.0040, and today it went up 21% on a low volume of 3 million shares. Now, a lot of people are like, okay, why would you spotlight a stock like that? Not a lot of volatility, not a lot of stuff. And the main reason is what the key thing I would point out is this company is waiting on funding. On the day this company gets funding, everything changes. Now, nobody knows when that day is. All the longs that have been there for a while have been waiting for that patiently. But there's some key things that are actually happening that is making it look very clear as if that's close or potentially very in the near term. Now, I will point out I'm not a big commodities guy. I'm not a big guy that goes into the mining. I know enough to be dangerous, and when you do 2 hours worth of due diligence on a company, when you're drilling down in the different stuff, they have a 78-page 10K that came out yesterday that went into details on a lot of different stuff, and we'll go through that. So let's just go ahead and do what we normally do. We're going to jump over to Investors Hub board, and that's Sierra Resource Group Inc., SIRG. I want to point out a couple of big dogs that are actually out here. LM Cat has been in the following mining companies all over the place. If he gives you some mining advice, I highly recommend you listen to it. He can tell you who's good, who's not, what they're doing, and all the different flavors to it. In a lot of cases, things that he thought that a lot of people, way back when, is most of them don't get to where the stage that they should be, in the sense that, they find a piece of property, but they never actually get to the mining stage. It's all, development, and they end up folding to do a lot of different things. However, this one he's hung with and has liked for a very long time, and there's a reason for that. Copper is a very big thing where right now, let me jump to the global copper market because I want to kind of set this stage. Basically, I'm just going to Reuters, and the global copper market to remain tight in 2012. So what that essentially means is basically China is the biggest user of copper. We use a substantial amount as well in the United States, and Europe uses a lot. Now, the thing is, with the economic downturn that's actually happened in Europe, that demand has actually lowered. So the demand in China is lower than what it was before as well. So right now it's probably trading somewhere around I'd go with $8,000 per ton for 2012, and it fluctuates between the estimate is 8,300 to 8,800, and it's reached a high, if I remember correctly, in 2011. It was pretty high, something like 10,100 or something like that, but very close, right? London Metal Exchange is something you want to do for benchmark copper futures. If you want to look at the, what's going on with it and those type of things. But I'm not going to dive down in that arena too far. Like I said, I know enough to be dangerous, and however, and that's what I'm looking for. Now, so I'm jumping the Investors Hub board, and what you're going to see is a lot of good DD. So I'm going to jump to the iBox, and a lot of things that are in this. Is you got some pictures of the mining area. It's the U.S.-based mining company committed to exploration and development of gold, silver, copper, and other mineral resources. Sierra's primary asset is 80% ownership of the chloride copper mine. The mine on BLM land is owned outright with no mortgage. The chloride copper mine is located near Kingman, Arizona. Arizona is the nation's leading copper producer. Okay. Now, there is some other stuff in the 10K that actually came out where they're getting another 10%, and I'll go through that a little later, but potentially 90% of this mine. So it's got a bunch of things with the leach ponds and all of that. The facility used to be pretty active all the way up until 1973, so you're seeing a lot of different stuff with that. It's one of the most copper is one of the most useful metals known to man, of course. I think we all know that, copper piping and all that other stuff. And connectivity of 97%. It's got a lot of good stuff in the iBox where it'll show you different values, different stuff, the different associations, technical reports, as well as, let me digress with this. One of the key points that I did notice as well that is another indicator to me is the website is down. Now, most people say, okay, well, the website being down is not a good thing. However, it used to be up, which means something's getting ready to happen with it, that they're either rebuilding it or they're aligning something with that. They've been very, very active over the course of the last few months in the sense of some of the dots that are lining up here. So I'm going to give you one of them. Okay, it's Paul Rizzo and Associates, right? It's actually sticky by Ellen Cat. All right, Paul C. Rizzo and Associates to re-engineer and perform meteorological tests to bring Sierra Resource Group's chloride copper mine into production. Okay, so in essence, and this was March 7th, the Sierra Resource Group announced today it has engaged Paul C. Rizzo Associates, Inc., to identify, prioritize, and schedule the necessary activities to bring the processing operation of the chloride copper mine into production. Rizzo Associates is an award-winning firm specializing in all aspects of civil engineering, earth science fields for the dams, nuclear power plants, and tunnel industries. On January 25th, 2012, representatives from Rizzo Associates completed a site visit to the chloride copper mine. I mean, they've already done it. The Rizzo Associates team consisted of Dr. Ananda, Andy, and senior consultant, and K. Michael Klein, principal geologist. The purpose of the site visit was to provide an independent assessment of the plant, mill tailings, and general site conditions for supporting the company and bringing the existing SXEW plant at the mine back into full operation. The plant has been idle since 1996, okay? It's been idle since 1996, and all of a sudden they're going to bring it back, all right? So connect the dots here. On February 21st, 2012, Rizzo Associates issued a trip letter report to assess status of the chloride copper mine to the company. According to the trip letter report, the SSEW plant is in good condition. However, it's need of minor refurbishment and replacement of some supporting equipment, but most of the equipment can be used and the plant can be brought back into working condition with a reasonable time frame and limited expense. Big plus. Company has not currently defined reasonable time frame or limited expense. And there's quote, "We are extremely pleased to have the Rizzo team working to bring the mine back into production and beginning work to improve the accuracy of our reserve estimates." Okay, and that's by the CEO Rod Martin. Now, okay, so what I said in the very beginning of this is the game changer for this stock is funding. That is the absolute huge game changer. And normally for a mine of this scale, you're probably looking, anywhere from $4 to $6 million of what you're actually looking for funding to get this to the next level. Now, if you look through the reserves and different things from the 10K, you're probably looking at a $12 million company, maybe 14, depending on what it is. And that's off. And I'll go through a little bit with the tailings and those type of things of why I say that in what I say. Now, like I did say earlier, is I don't know when funding's happening. Nobody quite knows that. Maybe the company has a little inkling of that. But I know two things. They're rebuilding their website. They're all of a sudden got somebody to go out there to assess the whole thing to figure out what it's going to take to get it up and running. And they're starting to become very active, as well as little by little shares are being eaten up and the stock's starting to go up. So let me give you some big tidbits that are the big positives. It's an OTCQB, of course. The board of directors are pretty phenomenal, and it's a real mining property, right? That's pretty big. The other key thing that I'd like to say is I'm not sure if it was valid or not, but by looking back through the different filings and certain things like that, looks like there was an AS raise to $1.5 billion, but it didn't look like it was valid based off a couple of different things. So I'm not sure if that actually happened or not. Bottom line is they reduced that in this filing to $317 million. All right, so a whole bunch of things with that. A couple of the other stickies that are in here that are big is you got the letter of intent by and between Sierra Resource. Okay, now what this it's the one between Medina Property Group LLC in regards to the property known as Chloride Copper Mine in Kingman, Arizona, like we just discussed. Basically goes through on the second day of February. The agreement by and between Sierra, the Nevada Corporation, hereinafter referred to SIRG and Medina Property Group, limited liability company in Florida, is intended that SIRG and MPG shall, subject to the terms set forth herein, the definitive agreement into the following terms regarding the chloride copper mine. Whereas MPG is owner of 20% interest, the chloride copper mine, a mining concession which lies approximately 24 kilometers northwest of the city of Kingman. I don't need to go through all that. Close to Vegas and all that. The geographic coordinates are in there and all that stuff. SRG would like to increase its interest ownership of the chloride copper mine to 90% interest. All right. Now, therefore, the parties hereby agree to the following. Upon execution of the letter of intent, MPG hereby agrees to provide a good faith, non-refundable deposit of $13,000, representing 1% of the total purchase price. Parties will diligently and in good faith negotiate a definitive agreement, right? And it has certified a certificate of ownership title, all that regular good stuff. And SIRG will pay the sum of $1.3 million, or which is $1,300,000 in the following manner: no less than $750,000 at closing in the form of a wire transfer to MPG's assignees or designees. Then, in the amount of closing is less than $1,300,000, then the remaining balance shall be financed at an annual interest rate of 10%. Said amount will be amortized and paid monthly for a period of 12 months, beginning with the chloride mine, etc. SRG shall deliver a certificate totaling 20 million shares of Class A common stock to SIRG. MPG shall deliver deed and bill of sale representing 50% of its interest in the chloride copper mine, right? Because they own 20%. Basically, they're selling 10%. Hence, SIRG will have 90%. Now, that's the third dot, right? So you have them looking to, they have getting the mine evaluated. They have the 10K that just came out. They have them buying another 10% and talking about paying $750,000 up front off of it So where's that money coming from? Exactly. The only place it can come from is funding, which leads me to believe that this thing is very, very close. All right, so now I'm going to jump to the next one with that. You can read, I mean, there's a whole lot more to the Medina deal and all that other stuff, but read the stickies and you'll figure out some of the pieces. All right, the PowerPoint and all that, you can't get to the website right now, but it's pretty good. Now, the scoping report, basically, the scoping report for the mining operation. This report was prepared on the chloride copper mine in 2007, which was before, and the different things that actually apply there and all that other stuff. Not going to go into detail with that, so I want you to kind of look at that, but I wanted to point that out. All right, so now what we normally do, we're going to jump to OTCmarkets.com. Now, the share structure here has shares outstanding 181 million, and float not available, authorized shares 440 million. Okay, that's as of November and December of 2011. I'm here to tell you that's wrong. You can call the transfer agent, verify the information regarding that, and I'll give you that stuff as well. Okay, so it gives you the different things with that. All right, give me 1 second here while I pop this other slide up. All right, okay, the share structure as of right now is the outstanding, issued and outstanding is the 317 million. Okay, so the outstanding is matching what the what they actually have, and it looks like restricted wise is about 51 million, somewhere around that. And I'm sure LM Cat he's the expert on this stock for sure. So if he wants to give us a call and chime in and make sure I'm on point, that would be great. All right, so now I'm going to jump to the financials. Now, there's different news and different things that are happening with that. I'm not so concerned about that because it's definitely tailing up in the right degree. So on April 16th, which is yesterday, for the period ended December 31st, 2011, they put out the 10K. Now, the 10K comes out, like I said, 78 pages, all right? By the way, on that share structure, if you want to call let me jump back to the company information. If you want to call the transfer agent, that number is 702-361-3033, 702-361-3033. I normally call, some like emails, whatever the case may be. And on the company information, you also have the actual website, which is, like as I said before, is working, address and all that stuff. CEO is J. Rod Martin, CFO Brad Hacker, Secretary Timothy Benjamin, and the company directors, the chairman is Timothy Benjamin, Paul Enright, and Louis Munoz. And they have the auditor and all that stuff. Legal counsel not available on that. All right, so back to the financials. All right. As difficult it is on a computer to go through 78 pages, I went ahead and I wanted to print this out. So I want to give you as of the filing, as of April 12, 2012, the issuer had 301,191,344 issued shares of common stock. So if I'm off by that 10 million, I guess that's quite possible. However, I think it's max at this stage. All right, so basically you go through this, you got table of contents just like normal in any filings that you have. So the type of business, like I said, it was originally intended to engage in the acquisition of oil and natural gas leases, primarily in East Texas. Companies began locating and evaluating copper-producing properties for acquisition or joint venture agreements on or about like April 23rd, 2010. They entered into the asset purchase agreement with Medina Property LLC at that time, Florida Limited LLC. And that's where they got the 80% of the certain assets of Medina, the chloride copper project in Kingston, Arizona. So it tells you exactly how they got all that. And then it tells you, the different shares and stuff like that. Now, back in the day, I think in 2011, on April 2011, shareholder meeting, and this is probably important, I probably should say this, a majority of the stockholders of the company approved the copper cathode sale and purchase agreement by and between the company and Harmony Mining Ltd. The general terms of the agreement provided Harmony the ability to purchase approximately 5 million pounds of copper cathode at a discount to the current market price and 10 million shares of the company's preferred stock in exchange for a guarantee by Harmony of a bank credit line of a minimum of $6 million. Effective October 12, 2011, the copper cathode sale and purchase agreement was terminated by mutual agreement between the company and Harmony. All prior terms of the agreement are void and no longer valid. So, in essence, it looked like they had the funding at one time, fell through, didn't work out. Then they start all this process for working on getting the mine cleared and all that other stuff as far as check, and hence why I think they found the second source for that funding. All right, so I want to give you the September 2011. The company engaged Wilcox Professional Services of Phoenix, Arizona, to provide exploratory drilling and laboratory service with regard to its tailing impound projects. Now, it engaged Geological Group Mining and Environmental Consultants, Inc., to review the analysis of the chloride mine tailings presented in a certificate of analysis by ALS Minerals dated back October 13, 2011. Here's the conclusions, and this is why I consider this big. Based on the analysis provided by Wilcox Drilling and the ALS Mineral Test Lab, where there is a resource of approximately 9.9 million pounds of copper and 9 million pounds of zinc in the tailings. It is also recommended additional test work and all that other type of stuff needs to happen. But the bottom line, it was the Emerald Isle mine, right? Hence the EIM, and it was in operation from 1943 to 73 when copper recovery was much lower to today's recovery rates. The company still needs to determine the economic feasibility of converting the tailings into a form of sellable on the open market, and as such, there be no assurance the company will receive material values for the tailings. So you get the idea. They got a huge potential asset here. Now, the primary effort of the company is to acquire the necessary funding to bring the chloride copper mine into production in order to generate working capital from its operation. Now, all this stuff is in the filings, and it goes through and talks about the when it raised the from 160 million shares to 460 million shares, and what they just did effective February 20th, 2012, the board of directors to approve the purchase of half the minority interest of chloride copper mine from Medina Property Group, LLC. That's to get to the 90%. Lots of different information that's in here, so I'm going to keep bouncing to the highlights. Effective compliance, environmental laws, like anything else, right? One of the key things that you have there, especially in that area, is water rights. So that's something to note, and an obstacle that they'll have. So the risk factors, where it reports all the different risk factors that are associated with it. We own 80%, and then we own 80% of the interest in one property, the chloride copper mine, which may not have deposits of copper or other metals that may be mined at a profit. Whether we're able to mine the property at a profit depends on factors including, right, about all the different stuff that it has. All right, so is this a shot in the dark? Potentially. Is it one that can go to a 20 to 50 bagger overnight with funding? Yes, and hence why I like it. And based off where the price where it is, it's the price is where it is just because of these facts. So I'm going to keep running through about the determination of the several factors, including ore reserves, expected recovery rates of the metal from the ore, future metal prices, all your typical stuff that you get in mining. I'm not going to teach you all those pieces, but you want to read different pieces of the filing and go through. Now, some people probably wouldn't be too excited about this 10K due to the fact that funding's not actually in it. Now, all right, so I'm already on page 18. Got the different future offerings and all of that. Okay, trading the common stock. I don't think we have any reason to go through that. Okay, share structure is pretty low based off what we said, so I think we're okay from that aspect. Now, clearly, we're shares put in the market from the 160 million from probably rollover of convertibles of some form has happened in the past, but it doesn't look like, when you look at the chart, it doesn't look like any of that's happened for a while. Okay, high and low of the price stocks. Okay, results of operation, net loss. Okay, for the 12 months ended December 31st, 2011 and 2010, they had a net loss of approximately $1,776,000 and $8,394,000 respectively. And they have an accumulated deficit of approximately $10 million and $8 million respectively. Now, when you buy the mine and you do all those things, you own it outright. Of course, you're going to have the accounts payable. You're banking on everything as far as being able to get the funding. They're at that point where everything they do is to get that funding. I don't think the market would bear. You're not going to lower the authorized shares just to increase the authorized shares with your shareholders. So they're giving the shareholders, call it what you will. They're giving them the security of the fact that, hey, our OS is our AS. We're going to do what we have to do to make this mine, get the funding and make it a go. So essentially, that's what I'm seeing with this. So from a money standpoint, is it a little hurting at this stage? Absolutely. Hence why it's trading where it is, and potentially you can go a lot of different places with it. Now, the experience and qualification of the board is pretty phenomenal, right? So most of them are right out in their 40s to 50s. I think Michael Rowland's in the 70s. But I would highly recommend you read this. They come with a vast amount of experience, and clearly they're not in this to not make this a go. So, all right, I'm jumping to page 34 of this. I don't know if anybody has this and they're following along on it, but there's a lot of stuff. It goes into the executive compensation, the full-time employees that they have, and from that aspect, talks about the different things with the common stock, who's got what shares, and the articles of incorporation. Now, I'm not going to beat you up and keep talking about the filings because it gets pretty dry and and realistically, you would want to sit down and go through the entire thing line by line yourself. But all the enclosures are there. Everything is set up to lay down the foundation for what they're doing. They file the 10K. They go ahead and get somebody to come out there. They get the Rizzo company to do the thing with the site. They're trying to get another 10% of the mine, which leads me to believe in a lot of different aspects of what they're trying to do. Okay, so let me give you one more. All right. The Dewey Will 2 had a good post on there back on March 4th. And, it took some digging, figuring out some of the things that were actually out there. And like I said before, LM Catchley, pretty much the expert. But he has a great post. It's post number 4304. And what it says, the Skinny, SRG is a company that currently owns outright 80% of the copper mine, which has been proven by the Geological Survey. So we kind of just went through that whole piece, reserves of copper. It is not currently mining, but has a target to start mining operations later this year in 2012 when it secures funding to proceed. All right, so it matches up. The value of the ownership of the rights to dig at this location equals $13 million according to recently agreed to purchase price of an additional 10% of the mine at $1.3 million. Assets currently on the site of previous mining operation equal $1.8 million. Current conservative value of SRG's 80% is $13 million plus the 1.8 times 80% gives you $12 million. So we were pretty close with all of that. Currently, as of today, they're only around. He's got the share structure back then. It's 300. It was 200 million back then. Now it's 304 million, between 304 to the max 317. So it gives you the market cap. Appears that the funding deal was closed because it assumed that this will be the only way possible to pay for the additional 10%, which I agree with. Basically, there's no reason to go down that path and do all the stuff that they're doing if they're not close to this. The other good sign is a hint of funding include the hiring of the outside SVP of operations, who is not a current or past board member. Right? Throwing caution to the wind, there are huge copper reserves here that are proven. And additional land that SIRG owns the right to mine that likely has huge copper reserves and have not even been surveyed yet. Aggressive valuation can easily be put the stock market 4 to 5 times what it is. And this is where I think, exactly, if you get the funding and this thing goes nuts. Now, the bad to it, $5 million to get the mine functioning according to the board, to LM Katz, and he knows what he's talking about. And it's been difficult to this point to secure in the current economy. Hence why the Harmony deal fell out with the $6 million. I don't know who the new funder would be or where they're going to get that money from. I just think they're getting it. Currently, there are still notes from toxic short-term financing that are being converted or will be converted in the future. And most of that is stopped. You can see by the chart to see what's happening due to the fact that low volumes allow it to finally go up. So I think that's been over for a little while. Now the ugly piece to it too is the DTCC chill is still in effect, and many of you that listen to the show know that we've gone through. We actually did a show with a bunch of people on it with Mikey and Big Bake, where we discussed DTCC in firm detail of how the whole thing works. And some people consider it bad, some people don't. I know some people that like to just trade DTC stocks. To where something happened where they raised the share structure, or something that happened in the past where The DTCC did not want to take that risk. Now, the irony to this is over the course of the last, I'd say, month, a lot of the different companies have been kind of fighting back to that, in the sense that, a lot of things are happening by third parties that aren't actually just the company's fault, to where they're holding the company accountable. So I really don't put much weight into that as much as I used to. I think any company can trade based off a supply and demand equation, and that's what it's really all based off of. So the more people you get buying it, and the supply is less, that is what it is, and that's how it works. Now, I want to jump to the chart here real quick. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, now today you had the big piece where, like I said, you had the 21% increase that actually happened there. Give me 1 second so I can get this. All right, so I'm going to startshots.com, all right, just on the website, just like we normally do. All right, now we're pulling out the chart. All right, and this is what we got. Actually, I think I got Sumo. You got the chart, Sumo?
Yeah, I'm ready for the chart, baby.
Oh, my fault, bud. Why don't you run that for me?
Okay, well, starting with the RSI, it's in a nice spot at 64.30. We like to see these things hold above 50. The power zone starts to get to be 70, and it starts to look overbought when it gets to be 80 to 90. So clearly it's not all overbought or oversold at 64.30. That's in a nice spot there. A key level of resistance is going to be that 200-day moving average, which is 0044. You can see the stock had a tough time getting them over that spot right in the beginning of March. In the middle of February, beginning of February, it was trading as low as 000 range. So it was below 001, had that big move on up to 0044, and then it consolidated down to 0015, where it saw that big volume day. It traded about 15 million shares like the 1st of April. And since then, it's been on a steady uptrend. It's been making higher lows off of that low. And right around April 9th, you had the PPO cross over, and it was right at the zero line. And at that same time, the histogram, those blue bars flipped over. So that's a very bullish sign there. But, that key resistance is going to be that 200-day moving average. What I like is the 50-day and the 20-day are both pointing north, and the stock is holding above those. The 50-day is at 0025, and the 20-day is at 0027. So both of those are rising. Meanwhile, you got the 200-day that's coming down. So it looks like there's an inevitable golden cross coming, where both the 20-day and the 50-day eventually want to cross that 200-day, and that's going to be a very positive sign. So I really like this chart setup.
Now you know why I picked it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in charts don't just happen. People make charts, and money makes charts. And if you notice, the timing of all of those events that I talked about, as well as that chart, are coming around at the same time. What's that tell you?
The moon, the sun, and the stars are all properly being in line.
Yep, that's exactly the case. And it's not easy to see, because normally on the scanners you're not going to pick up something with 3 million in volume, and only 21%. And if you look through it, you're going to see that it's slowly been doing the just like Sumo described on the chart. That big, you see the big candle that they had at the 15 million right on the beginning of April?
Yeah.
The big red candle. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now you notice the volume after that, right? Clearly there was dilution in there. You can see it, right? That was actually happening maybe a little earlier than that, but somewhere around that. The stock drove up, got to the 44 area, then started that tail down like you were just talking about, and has been inching up on low volume at the same time during all of these events that are happening, which tells me a couple of things. You got a good group of longs that are actually on the board eating the stock, probably hitting the ask, and every so often maybe and I don't know the board that well, to where I'd say about every week you're probably getting one or two more longs that are eating up even more of the float. I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, when you're looking at 300 million at 0.0040, I mean, that's, you know, it's really not a lot to get this one to move. Now the beauty to this is the last time, what's the highest it's been in a long time? What is it? Right around here, right? 44?
Yeah, this is the highest it's been in a long time, yeah. But if you go back to 2011, it had a major spike from about the same range. It was 0016-ish, 0015, and it ran all the way up over a penny and a half.
Exactly.
And there was some huge volume, you know, it traded back then. But it looks like over the past couple months, the volume is really, you know, you've seen some big volume days in there. And the fact that it's moving up, yesterday it only traded today rather, it only traded 3 million shares, 3.1. The 3-month average is just over 4 million shares, so that's pretty light volume for it to be moving up 20%. So that's a good thing to point out, definitely.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to break the trend. Is where I'm looking at, and it's, you know, nobody likes to spotlight or pick a stock and do it at the top of the range. However, I'm that confident in this one. But no, Penny, you got any callers there, Mike?
No, sir.
All right, perfect. Even better. Talking mining is not an easy thing, but, you know, like anything else, the stocks that we look for meet certain indicators or certain wickets, if you will. And this one's got 4 out of the top 6 that I actually look for. And, you know, like Sumo said, to move 20% on 3 million. And especially to go from a low of a day of 0.0030 to go up to the 40, you know, you actually had a little more than that. So keep an eye on this one. As soon as funding comes, it's game over. You know, not to go with the predictions, but, you know, Pennyland's easy day.
Okay.
Cool.
Very, very nice. How about we take this? Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that key break is going to be that 200-day moving average. You know, we've seen it in a lot of cases. If they struggle to get over that 200-day, then, you know, that's a key mark. And if they struggle to get over that, generally that's not a good thing. But if they do get over that 200-day, then, you know, we always see positive things. At least that's what the trend has been lately. So I want to stick with that trend. I like playing the breaks. You know, if I see this thing play out and break over that 200-day, it could get interesting, because that's how a lot of these plays have been playing out lately.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, just so another tidbit, this one, there's no awareness on this thing. Meaning, the only people posting on this stock is on that board. They, you know, they're not posting out there in the rest of the market, and, you know, they're keeping this thing quiet for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. But, you know, the investors that are long in that, I would get out there and share your story, because I think you're getting ready to have one.
Fantastic. All right, how about we take a small commercial break, and we'll be back with what was hot on Investors Hub today. Sound good?
Great.
Awesome.
All right. We'll be back after these words.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Hot Stock Tip Giver-Outer.
Mr. Hot Stock Tip Giver-Outer.
Why go to professional analysts when we can get inside information from your brother-in-law's sister's fourth cousin's stepfather?
On your mother's side.
Sure, you may know absolutely nothing, but we know even less.
Big old dummy.
Your motto, buy low, sell low. Get other people to buy low and sell low.
Keep hope alive.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, oh Titan of the tip. Although you're always wrong, you'll always be our Mr. Right.
Mr. Hot Stock Tip Giver-Outer.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
We call this a capitulation. Cancel all orders. Even Kramer doesn't know what to think. They're going to probably halt trading. We told you that we didn't want to see you get hooked, and you may be hooked. Look at that. Look at it.
Welcome back to Stock Traders Talk Radio. I'm your host, STT. Joining me on tonight's program, I have Stock Sumo and Mr. Cop. Did everybody make it back with me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That is always good to hear. Now, don't forget to catch the morning show, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, starring Stock Sumo, Sipakia, and Haas. They've been doing a great job every morning. If you haven't listened to the show, it's well worth your time. It was fun. I actually joined the show this morning.
I really enjoyed this morning show, but I really enjoyed this evening show too. I really got a kick out of hearing you break down the spotlight, Cop. Every time you do these things, I learn more and more, and it really helps me with my DD skills and breaking things down. I just want to add too, I was looking at one of the other spotlights that you did that was a mining play that had a huge gain, and it was one that, you spotlighted as it was over that 200-day moving average, is GDSM. It got above that 200-day moving average. You guys spotlighted it. We spotlighted back, 001. It ran over 3 cents, made a over 3,000% gain. So
yeah, that's right. That was the last mining stock we spotlighted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Let's keep that trend alive. That would be good.
The spotlights have been doing very well. All right, let's take a look at what was hot today. Now, I normally don't go this route, but I'm going to say it because I know there's a person on the radio that's going to be aggravated when I call out this ticker symbol. AAPL, Apple. What a day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, almost $30 today. Sumo, do you want to elaborate on what happened today?
Well, it was the classic dip and rip. They had some negative news towards them last week. Somebody was going after them, a patent lawsuit. I think it was Amazon or something. I touched up about it before. It's not like it's going to really affect Apple. I knew it had a downturn after they came out with that news, but how long was that really going to last for? Apple's just going to settle out of court. It's not going to put a dent in their bank accounts. They got, billions of dollars to deal with. It's like they're on their own level. And you've seen it gap up today. It started to recover. It gapped up and just ran all day. They hammered it down. It was as high as
Awesome.
650 last week.
Mm-hmm.
And they drove it down. It gapped down a little bit and then just popped hard.
It's amazing, though, because I was talking, we all know that Sipakia is big on options, and he's been playing that one. And I spoke with a few other traders today, and I haven't spoken to them in a long time. And they told me that for the last 3 weeks, all they've been doing is playing Apple options.
Well, I started for my first time a week ago, and I was having a field day, and I got a little bit greedy because the first 10 trades I was like 8 for 10, and I only had 2 losers out of those first 10 trades. And I was rolling in the money, and I was getting a little ahead of myself, and then I got caught playing it when it started to tank after they came out with that negative news. And it put a bad taste in my mouth, and I really it prevented me from making some more gains because I should have came in there today when I saw it gap up. I wanted to pull the trigger. I had the funds available, and if you would have gotten in on the weekly option at the open, I believe it was trading around $2, and it went as high as $12. So it was over 12. So it would have been an easy 5-bagger.
Nice. Boy, oh boy, I got to follow Siffy's lead on this one. Coming in with you. I'm going to join you guys soon.
Well,
all right, go ahead.
The way that this thing trades, It's pretty predictable, you know. You just gotta just follow the trends, you know. When you see it gap up, chances are it's gonna rally that day.
Okay. All right. Now let's move on to our area of expertise. Let's look at ATYG today. Closed at 0.0033 for a change of 0.0012. That's a percent change of 57.14. Volume just over 17 million. Sumo, what is that chart looking like?
Chart's looking relatively strong. You got the RSI that bounced off the 50. We'd love to see that. You know, it was up in the power zone right in the beginning of April when we saw that huge volume, saw the big run up from 0015 almost to 0065, and then you've seen it consolidate here. That was when the RSI was up in the power zone. The consolidation came through, then the RSI backed off, bounced off the 50 mark here, and meanwhile the stock is bouncing off of that 20-day moving average. So it's holding above that moving average. That's nice. And you got the slow stochastics that are hooking up right now, getting ready to cross over. That's a good sign. And the PPO are about to cross over. Those lines are getting ready to cross, and the histogram bars are about to flip over. So all in all, you really got a nice setup on this ATYG. You know, we've seen it dead in the water from December to February area. I almost created my own month there. Decemberary?
Decemberary.
Yeah. So from December to February, it was dead in the water. Trade in 0005 range, solid level support there, and then you started to see the volume creep in there. February had a big run up from 555 to 0025. Consolidated, found support at 001. Now, you know, it's found a higher level of support here at about 002 after the run up from to 007, 0065. So this one's looking good, you know.
All right. Next one up is AUMY. Closed today at 0.0072. A change of 0.0026 for a percent change of 56.52%. 84.4 million in volume. Sumo, chart it.
Key thing is that volume, big volume, 84.5 million, record volume. It was flirting with some big moving averages today. It crossed past the 20 and 50 day. You got the 20 at 005, the 50 at 006. The stock closed at 007, which was the high a day. So it closed above those averages. That's nice. I'd like to see it hold and maintain above those moving averages. If it can get above the 200-day moving average, which is 011, that'd be a very big sign. The RSI is pointing north towards the power zone. It's at 59.89, so it's not overbought or oversold. Nice area there. You got the PPO and the slow stow both pointing up. They're in the nice area. The PPO just crossed over. Love seeing those crossovers. And the histogram, blue bars, just flipped over to the north. So this one looks like it's just getting ready to roll here. The volume just, you know, went boom today. If it can keep that momentum, follow the money, and we'll see some more gains possibly.
Okay, let's take a look at the next one, which happens to be last night's stock spotlight, DNAD. Closed today at 0.0035, a change of 0.001, percent change of 40% with volume of 19.5 million. Sumo, what is that chart looking like?
Great looking chart there. You got the 20-day moving average that's curling up towards the 50-day moving average. So eventually, I'd like to see that cross. I'd like to see that 20-day cross over that 50-day and keep going towards the 200-day. Right now, the stock's holding above both the 20 and 50-day moving average. You got the RSI getting up in the power zone at 69.65. So we'll be looking for a possible consolidation after it starts getting revved up in the power zone around 80 or 90. That's when it starts to look overbought, remember. So it doesn't look overbought yet. It's only at 69.65, so it's still got some room on the RSI, and we'll be watching it for a possible consolidation after it gets up and really high in the power zone and around the 80-90 range.
Okay. Next one up. Big gainer today. DUTV. Closed today at .0012 for a change of .0011. Percent change 1100%. Volume 725,725,073. Sumo. I know this is gonna be a tough one, but let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one because currently stock charts is not accepting this symbol. They don't have that in their database. But I'm pulling up my E-Trade Pro. I'm going to try to give this a shot. Stand by for 2 seconds. Let me see if I can.
We know this was a quad one that had pretty good news today and ran pretty hard from it. Mr. Kopp, did you catch this news today?
On which one?
We caught it. We caught it.
Oh yeah,
pre-market.
yeah, they caught it pre-market.
Oh, I know the radio show had it on this morning. I was asking you if you had heard about it.
Oh, I mean, I listened to them. They actually told me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had a good streak going on, and they just destroyed me with that play. I mean, what was it? 1,200%. I mean, it's an amazing call. Amazing call.
And if you read that press release, it's very interesting technology. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one for the future here. I don't know how true it is, but we'll see how that all works out.
It was at one point it was a 17 bagger because it was up to 0018.
Really?
Yep.
That was the high of the day?
That was the high of the day.
Nice.
Well, very remarkable.
When you're in a stock like this and it reaches, you got to expect some selling to happen. I mean, my God, how long are you going to hold on to this thing?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so no chart? No big deal if there's no chart.
I'm pulling up a chart right now.
Okay.
I'm not really good with the chart skills on the E-Trade Pro like I am with stock charts. It's just so easy to use on stock charts.
Mm-hmm.
But right now the accumulation and distribution is just off the charts. You've seen the huge volume come into the stock today, so that's one signal that's looking really good is the money flow. So that's all I can really give you as far as signals.
Okay. I figured as much. That was going to be a tough shot.
But the other thing I like to look at is Fibonacci retrace. The gains on the day. Okay,
mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple math. I like to look at the overall gain on the day. Okay, the overall move on this stock today was from 0001 to 0018. Okay, so that's a difference of 0017. Now you take that number and you cut it in half, and what do you get? You get 8.5. Okay, so you add that to the original price of 0001, so you get 0009.5. Now, as long as the stock holds above that, to me, in my opinion, it remains bullish because it holds over 50% of those gains, and that's what some like to know, refer. That's just a basic Fibonacci right there.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. KMAG closed today at .0173, up .0023 for the day, a percent change of 15.33%, volume just over 17 million. What is that chart looking like?
KMAG, oh yeah, this is another doozy of spotlight from Kopp. We're going to break this bad boy down real quick. This looks like another one that could be a golden cross eventually. You got that 200-day sitting at 0092. Meanwhile, both the 50-day and the 20-day are just rising right towards it. The 20-day is all the way up to 0079, so it's just about kissing that 200-day. Then you got the 50-day at 004. But within this week, it looks like this 20-day could possibly cross that 200-day. That's going to be a really nice sign right there. And you got the RSI in the power zone, and it's been up in the power zone steady. It stayed in the green above 70 for all of April, and looks like about 1/3 of March, the RSI has been in the power zone. Early in the beginning of March, the RSI, got up in the power zone, and you've seen the stock break out. It ran up to like 0055, and then it consolidated, and the RSI backed off, but it held above 50, and the stock bounced off at 002, and it's been the RSI has been going up north since then, and so has the stock, and it moved all the way from 002 to where it's at 0173. Meanwhile, the RSI is still at 80.59.
All right, I have a caller that just called, and I think I know who it is, so I'm going to take it on a chance that it is him. Okay? If it's not him, well, oh well. We only got a couple minutes left in the show, so we'll miss the rest of our hot board, the picks today, or whatever the heck I call it. All right, let's see. Caller, you're on the air. Caller.
Laugh out loud. No, you don't know who it is, but Chris is sounding kind of funny tonight.
Chris is sounding funny? I was pretty sure I knew who this was.
Nah, you don't know who it is. I've never called in before, but once I mention my little moniker, you all know who I am. This is Allie Angel. How you hell
That's
are
who I
y'all?
thought it. That's
Rockstar, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Cop? I saw you moving today.
Gosh,
Good
where
job.
have you been?
Oh, I've been having so much fun. I've been all over the DU TV on a chat channel today from 0004 and all over the BCLE yesterday from an early, all over the HBRM from the .0016 to 2.6. So
that HBRM, we actually did a spotlight of that before the run, and all we talked about on the spotlight was you. And I remember when you told us about the CHRI. Remember last year?
Oh yes, sir. That's why I was all over that. So
man, very nice call. My hats off to you. I mean, that's a nice 2,000%er you nailed there.
Well, I'm marching board today, so I'll be. I'm only doing the freebie side because I'm like you on that hub thing. Just don't want to spend the money, but I've got a couple goodies coming. I've been doing real well on GPR, GRPR, DYNB. I am going to tell you, Cop, from personal experience, I have delivered to and spoken to the owners of Dyna Ventures. That is a $2 to $5 stock, building $30 million housing in the oil boom in North Dakota. I'm more serious on that than in DYNB Dynamic Ventures. Wowzer's on it today, and he has no idea the value. Shakers is on it now, too.
Oh, awesome. I did see that. I saw that. Is that trading like 10 cents?
Yeah, it's trading at 8 now. Shakers did a little bit of a pullback on it, but that is a 50-cent stock short term. It is $5 to $10. I have personally spoken to, delivered to, and worked with the owners in Stanley, Tioga,
awesome,
Minot.
Hey, Dave, you're not hearing this, but we got 20 seconds left of the show. And
all right.
Hit me up. You still got my cell number? Give me a call, man. We'll catch up.
I sure will. You guys have a great evening, and I'll keep up with you guys this week.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
All right. Well, that wraps up tonight's show. A little late, but we'll get it out of you. Well, from all of us here at Stock Traders Talk Radio, to all of you out there in Stock Traders Talk Radio listening land, we're wishing you the best in all your trades, and may your portfolio always be. I'm not even going to play disclaimer because there's no point in it.
We own nothing.
We did nothing. We do nothing. We just talk. Please, just take it at that.